drink a ton of beer. I hate everyone, especially trans and queers. I'm a mean Republican. I'm a mean Republican. If I get you pregnant, bitch, you're having my child. You're not getting an abortion. You'll have to suffer for a while. And when the baby comes, that's when I'm leaving town. I'm not paying for it. I'll never be around. I'm a mean Republican. I'm a mean Republican. If you don't like my driving, get off the road. Don't need no backseat driver. Get out of my car. I'm a mean Republican. My other car's a truck. I'm a blue-eyed devil, and I don't give a fuck. I'm a mean Republican. I'm a mean Republican. Don't you even stare at me. My hands are on my gun, 'cause I'm a real SOB. So you better run. I want a world war to kill those communists. I love fascist leaders and authoritarians. I'm a mean Republican. I'm a mean Republican. So you see what's on my head. I wear a MAGA hat. I have a friend in Jesus. Imagine that. I go to church on Sunday to clean myself of sin, to get another week, to do it all again. I'm a mean Republican. Don't you mess with me. I don't care about you or your third world country. I'm a mean Republican. I'm a mean Republican. Don't you step inside my country. I'll put your ass in jail. I'll separate your children from your family. I'll put those kids in cages and throw away the key. 'Cause I'm a mean Republican. Be afraid of me.